Hey guys, do you spend your time thinking I should be more productive or I'm supposed to have this all figured out right now? Well, it's time to stop shoulding all over yourselves. And in today's video, we're diving into why shoulding is the bullshittiest bullshit you can engage in, how it messes with our minds way more than we realize. So let's consider that. Well, welcome back everyone. I am Jennifer Meyer and this is Consider Jennifer, your place online to take some time to consider your life so you can be on purpose with living it. And today we're going to be talking about an extremely common and destructive habit that we can all fall into, using the words should and supposed to. Now, these two phrases are really sneaky little monsters that wreak havoc on our mental health. Dr. David Burns is a leading expert in cognitive behavioral therapy, and he describes these should statements as major cognitive distortions. So let's start today with what is a cognitive distortion and why does it matter? Cognitive distortions are basically irrational thoughts that influence our emotions and our behavior. They're mental traps and they distort our thinking, which leads us down a path of negativity. And these distortions make us see reality in a skewed way, often causing unnecessary stress, anxiety, even depression. There are several types of cognitive distortions. I think in his book, Dr. Burns talks about 10. But today we're zeroing in on one of the most common, should statements. According to Dr. Burns, these statements involve telling ourselves things that must or should be a certain way. Thinking something or someone should be different from what's really happening creates negativity and uncomfortable feelings. You know that phrase, you're going against the flow of life, right? Now, cognitive behavioral therapy is very logic-based because we get stuck believing that life should be X, and we really believe that. This should be X, or this person should be Y. And I know that everyone here, myself included, has had that experience. It feels true that the accident shouldn't have happened, or that your spouse shouldn't have lost their job. But those statements indicate a belief that life should be fair. And we all certainly know that it isn't. And imagine thinking to yourself, I should always be happy, or I'm supposed to have everything figured out. And these thoughts really set us up for failure because they create standards that are just impossible to meet. And when we inevitably fall short, we beat ourselves up and we feel guilty and we question our worth. And this is directly related to the reason why I set up my New Year resolution process the way that I do, which you can check out on my blog. It's really a tremendously vicious cycle that seriously messes with our mental well-being. Another way that this can routinely show up for us is in how we think about other people, and specifically how they behave. And this is, of course, anyone, your friends, family, children, your peers, your boss, and certainly your romantic partner. I mean, just think back to the words you were thinking or saying to yourself when someone was making, in your opinion, a really stupid decision. And I'd be willing to bet that you were saying something along the lines of, I can't believe they would do this, or don't they understand? Of course they should have gotten gas before we left. And these examples isn't helpful because it's really meaningless. I mean, you can't change the past. You can't control the actions of others or predict the future. So saying someone, including yourself, should be anything is really pointless. And I understand, I really do, I understand what you're thinking, right? Like, Jenny, but I know I can't change the past. And if I don't point out this mistake, I mean, it could happen again. I mean, we all want to avoid that. And maybe, but even if that were true, and I don't believe that it was, or that it is, using should doesn't set you up for success because the nature of the word indicates an obligation, not a personal desire. And if you know anything about motivation, and all you have to do is run a quick Google search, You can find all of the evidence for why an obligation is not a good way to help anybody do anything, again, including yourself. Another way that this is not helpful is because it gives the indication that you have, again, 100% control of your environment and in all the people around you, which is 100% false. Nobody has 100% control. Another way this isn't helpful is because it really does give the indication that you have 100% control of your environment and all of the people in it, which is 100% false. Now, I want to give a really silly, ridiculous example of this, so stay with me for a minute. Let's think about the Mississippi River. The Mississippi River, any river, flows in a single direction, and barring any catastrophic flood that diverts the flow, your opinion on the direction of the river is irrelevant. The Mississippi flows generally from north to south, and you thinking that it should flow south to north makes absolutely no difference. The river does not care. That's what I'm talking about here. Your thought that gas should have happened before you left for your trip is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It happens this way. That kind of thinking is what creates this rigid and unrealistic set of expectations, both for ourselves and for others. And that's what leads to these feelings of frustration and disappointment. So what do we do about it, right? How do we stop shooting on ourselves? What can we do instead? Well, one thing we can do is to actually cultivate self-compassion. Be kind to yourself. We're all human, and it's not just okay, but it's absolutely expected that we are going to have imperfections and make mistakes. Practicing self-compassion involves treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would a friend. But when you catch yourself thinking, I should have done better, remind yourself that you're doing your best and it's okay to not be perfect all the time. Another really good strategy is to just focus on your preferences and your choices rather than those rigid expectations. And instead of, I'm supposed to have a high-paying job, try saying instead, I prefer to find a job that aligns with my values. The approach here acknowledges your agency and it allows for flexibility, which reduces the pressure to meet these unrealistic expectations and standards. Another way to limit how often you do this shooting on yourselves is by setting realistic and achievable goals. And when you say, I should be more productive, you're setting a vague and unmanageable expectation. What the hell does that even mean? Productive in terms of what, right? Instead, try to be more accurate. Break it down and be specific, realistic, very deliberate. I'll spend an hour today working on my project. This puts you in a place where you can actually make progress because you know what you're wanting to do. And it makes your goals more obtainable and tangible because it helps build confidence and momentum. And what you'll notice about all of these suggestions, if you're paying attention, is that the focus is on reframing your language. In so many instances, reframing our language is a powerful way to help us feel better about what our experience is bringing us. And it is one of the simplest and most effective ways to combat shoulding. Just use different words and be more accurate in capturing what you're trying to say. So instead of saying, I should exercise more, which just makes you feel like you have one more chore to do during the day, try, I would like to exercise more because it makes me feel good. Or I'm going to spend an hour today going for a walk because I know it's good for my body. This small change shifts the focus from a sense of obligation and moves it back into that personal desire place. And that's what we want because it makes it feel more positive, and that helps you be more achievable with it. What you'll see is more success over time with those shifts in focus. It's really incredibly powerful. And if you've ever read the 4 Agreements, being impeccable with your word, that's what this is all about, y'all. Okay, folks, so let's recap. We've talked a little bit about those sneaky words should and supposed to, how they mess with our minds and lead to unrealistic expectations, guilt, stress, depression, anxiety. And by reframing our language, by practicing self-compassion, by focusing on our preferences, and of course by setting realistic and specific goals, we can break free from this toxic cycle of shoulding. Leave a comment below, please, and let me know how you use the word should and how it might be impacting your life. I know it is a word that, even though I'm aware of it, it sneaks into my language almost every day. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. I'm working hard to make sure that I have quality content for everybody, so please give me your feedback. And of course, for more insights and resources, head over to my website and sign up for my newsletter. For those of you who don't know, I'm also a speaker and I offer keynotes on topics just like this. So if you're interested in having me speak at your event, you can find more information about that on my website as well. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't should on yourselves. And remember, every day, consider your life, be on purpose. Bye.